welcome to the deep dive. You have handed us, well, a library of source material today.
A whole library.
Yeah, it's ranging from, dusty old Greek philosophy all the way to incredibly detailed analyses of pop and funk music.
Right.
So our mission is to take this sprawling collection and answer one central question: what is music for?
That's it, exactly. And this isn't just about what music does to you, but what its deepest intention is.
Yeah.
Philosophically, structurally, and emotionally.
Okay.
We are going to try and connect the dots between Aristotle's ideas about musical aesthetics and say why a tiny shift in a time signature can make a track completely irresistible.
So we're finding out how a sophisticated grasp of rhythm has driven human contemplation for, millennia.
That's the goal.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting at the absolute philosophical beginning. We've got Aristotle in his Poetics, and he lays out this idea of artistic imitation. He argues the true object of all art is, and I'm quoting here, people in action. He's talking about human life, the pursuit of happiness.
And our need to seek knowledge through observation. And this is where music gets a special sort of designation.
How so?
Well, Aristotle argued that music is unique because it's a particularly direct form of that imitation. It was a revolutionary claim that rhythm and tone are the closest imitation of reality because they don't just depict a scene, they actually reflect distinct emotional qualities.
So wait, you're saying if you listen to a certain melody, it doesn't just remind you of sadness, it actually is sadness in an audible form.
Precisely. It imitates specific states like anger and gentleness, courage and temperance, and all the opposing qualities. And if music carries that kind of emotional truth, the Greeks realized, well, it couldn't just be frivolous entertainment.
No, it had to have this profound educational and moral weight.
Exactly. They called it paedia, or character formation.
And that's why they were so focused on which modes or, scales were appropriate for citizens to hear.
Right. He accepted music as a source of pleasure, of relaxation, for sure. But when it came to shaping character, he was insistent
that only ethical modes be employed in education.
It just shows how seriously they took the idea that the music you consume literally shapes the person you become.
It also connects music to what Aristotle saw as the highest human calling.
He linked its true purpose to skole,
which is often translated as leisure, but that's a bit misleading, isn't it?
Oh, completely. He wasn't talking about, binge-watching television. Skole was this serious, contemplative time.
Time spent in theorizing, gazing into the true nature of things.
Yes, the ultimate pursuit of knowledge.
And what kicks off that kind of high-level contemplation? For him, it was the power to wonder. Right. Wonder is what naturally drives humans to inquire, and music, because it imitates emotional reality so directly, compels that wonder.
It positions music not as some kind of background noise, but as a key vehicle for profound human flourishing.
It's just powerful to realize that the simplest rhythm that makes you tap your foot is, in this ancient view, intrinsically linked to your brain's highest theoretical function.
It gives you that first prompt for curiosity and inquiry.
That sets up our next section perfectly. Aristotle told us music imitates emotion in its higher form. But how?
Right, the mechanics.
How do the raw mechanics of rhythm actually do that during listening? Let's put on the mechanic's gloves and look under the hood. Meter and structure.
Okay, so when we talk about musical structure, we always start with the rhythmic pulse. That's defined by the time signature or the meter.
The governing rule of the piece.
The governing rule. If the top number is 2, 3, or 4, we call it simple meter. If it's 6, 9, or 12, it's compound meter. And that pulse, it creates a baseline expectation for the listener.
And 44 is the baseline expectation for, almost all of modern Western popular music. Rock, hip-hop, dance music, most pop.
Pretty much everything.
So if you're a composer, how do you use meter alone to tell the listener this is not standard? Or maybe even you need to feel uneasy?
You just step outside of 44. That's where you find genres like progressive rock or, complex jazz really living.
The moment the meter is unusual, you create rhythmic tension.
Instantly. Think of the psychological effect of Paul Desmond's jazz masterpiece, Take 5. It's written in 54 times.
So there's an extra beat in every measure.
Exactly. And that extra beat gives the rhythm this circular, slightly off-kilter quality that sounds immediately cool and sophisticated, just because it denies you that expected 4-beat anchor.
Or Radiohead's Paranoid Android. Parts of that song suddenly drop into 78.
And when you hear that, it's not just some mathematical change. It's reflecting the lyrical theme of disorientation, of anxiety. It feels like the ground is literally shifted underneath you.
And we can go even further away from the Western standard. There's this concept of aksak meter.
Right. The Turkish word aksak means limping. It's a pretty good way to describe it, actually.
So it's an irregular rhythm.
It's an irregular bichronic rhythm, a non-Western timing that combines simple 2-beat groups and 3-beat groups inside one measure, where the beats themselves have different lengths.
So it's not 4 even steps. It's more like, 3 fast steps and then 2 slow ones repeating.
That's a great way to put it. It feels like a dancer being pulled between 2 different paces at the same time. The most famous Western example is probably Dave Brubeck's Blue Rondo a la Turk.
Which is written as 2 + 2 + 2 + 38.
Right, it's a rhythmic puzzle. And when the band locks into it, it compels that deep intellectual wonder, that thaumazein we were talking about, because your brain is actively trying to decipher the pattern.
That structural complexity is fascinating, but what about the swagger and energy in, the vast majority of pop music, the stuff that is still in 44?
That's where syncopation comes in. It's basically rhythmic rebellion.
Okay.
Syncopation is just shifting the emphasis away from the typically strong beats, which are 1 and 3 in a 44 measure, to the weak beats or the offbeats.
The and of the beat.
The and of the beat. So instead of accenting the obvious moments, you're hitting the moments in between.
And the effect is immediate propulsion.
Immediate. Take the intro to Adele's Rolling in the Deep. The producer uses this subtle offbeat syncopation. The main acoustic guitar chords land squarely on the and of beat 1.
That sounds so simple.
Deceptively simple. But that little hesitation, that slight push, gives the whole track its unique gravitational pull. Sounds like defiance.
We also hear anticipation used constantly in modern pop. It's kind of the opposite of hesitation, right? It's pushing the note forward.
It is. It's the technique of driving energy into the next measure by playing the note that should be on beat 1 a little bit early.
On the and of 4 of the bar before.
Exactly. If syncopation is tapping the brake, anticipation is letting the clutch out just a bit too soon. You hear it everywhere in high-energy pop choruses. Listen to Ariana Grande's positions. That technique ramps up the energy right before the downbeat, making the track feel like it's constantly lunging forward. It's like rhythmic caffeine.
Okay, if anticipation is caffeine, then let's talk about the genre built entirely on, rhythmic combustion? Funk. Funk defined itself by actively rejecting the rhythmic conventions that came before it.
That is a crucial point. If you listen to early James Brown R&B, stuff that led right into funk, it often had a 128 shuffle or triplet feel.
Which gives it a smoother, more rolling quality.
A rolling quality, yeah. To invent funk, they had to move to a straight 44 meter with straight 8th notes. This was an immediate, palpable, rhythmic shift. It made the music feel sharp, angular, and just so energetic.
And the irony is, it's so complex in its feel, but its whole cultural mandate is to simplify things. We have that quote from the sources.
Oh, yeah.
The irony is, the more one thinks about it, the harder it is to get the feel of the funk. It's just done.
It demands immediate physical, intuitive understanding. The groove was the identity. Traditional funk is defined by heavy syncopation and, crucially, the bass line often taking priority over the melody.
And the lyrics, they were either focused on just letting loose and partying, or they were direct social commentary.
Which was particularly important to a lot of the Midwestern bands.
Bands like the Ohio Players from Dayton, they used funk's stripped-down, insistent rhythm to address community issues, empowerment. Their sound was so tight and hard-hitting, it forced you to pay attention musically and socially.
And you just can't discuss funk without recognizing the extreme innovation in the sound itself.
Oh, for sure.
We're talking about pioneers like Larry Graham, who literally invented the slap and popping bass technique. It let the bass operate as a second drum kit.
And Bootsy Collins channeling his Bootzilla alter ego. That was part of it too, this high flare, almost otherworldly persona that matched the intensity of the rhythm.
And the guitar's role completely changed.
Right.
Guitarists like Nile Rodgers focused on this clean, sharp rhythm sound. He'd emphasize the percussive effect of muted chords, using compressors to get that clucking sound. The goal wasn't sustain or melody.
It was rhythmic attack.
Rhythmic attack. Even specialized instruments, like the talk box, that synthesized vocal effect from Zapp and Roger, were primarily used to deliver melodic parts rhythmically, to fit them into the groove instead of soaring above it.
So if funk is built on this intense rhythmic focus, let's look at how metric tricks are used in other genres to create specific textual meaning, what musicologists call text painting.
Metric manipulation is such a powerful tool for them, for articulating formal sections, often through truncated bars.
That's when you suddenly drop, say, a 24 bar into a 44 song.
Yeah, it's like skipping a step on the stairs.
Prince used this brilliantly in Purple Rain.
He did. When he sings the title phrase, Purple Rain, it lands on beat 3 of the measure, and that beat is then immediately reinterpreted as the downbeat of the next section.
So it effectively creates a compressed bar that just slides the verse right into the chorus.
And it creates this wonderful forward surge that prevents you from ever quite settling.
And then there is, what, direct grouping dissonance?
A bit of a mouthful, yeah. But it's where conflicting meters are layered against each other to create intentional rhythmic conflict.
The classic example being Led Zeppelin's Kashmir.
The absolute classic.
That song feels massive and unsettling all at once. So what's going on mechanically there?
The drums are just steadfastly playing in 44 times. Boom bap, boom bap. But the guitar and the mellotron, that signature orchestral synth sound, are playing in a pattern that's grouped in 68.
So they're playing against each other.
Constantly. It creates a complex hemiola where you have 3 groups of 2 notes playing against 2 groups of 3 notes over and over and over. So as a listener, you feel like time is warping slightly.
Which critics suggest is deliberate. It text paints the song's themes of traversing vast distances, moving through time and space.
The rhythm itself is trying to pull the song apart, reflecting that expansive, almost daunting subject.
Even in hip-hop, which is overwhelmingly rooted in 44, the rhythmic interest is just incredibly sophisticated.
It is. I mean, there are famous exceptions. Homeboy Sandman using 94 or DJ Shadow using 74.
But those are rare.
Very rare. The true genius in hip-hop lies in the rhythmic pattern of syllable stress, of syncopation, and the masterful use of triplets, or 16th notes, within that 4-beat structure. The MC is essentially creating complex polyrhythms with their voice alone.
Like Pharoah Monch's opening verse in Organized Confusion's Bring It On, it's cited as a masterclass. The complexity isn't in the background beat at all.
No, it's in how the MC navigates and stresses the syllables against that backdrop, creating all this internal tension and release.
Which brings us to a huge question that sits right at the intersection of creation and analysis. If music relies on this mechanical genius, how necessary is formal music theory? We have this popular sentiment that modern pop lacks complexity. But does complexity even require notation?
That critique of modern pop is so interesting because it's usually filtered through a classically trained lens.
A lens that prioritizes harmonic complexity.
Exactly, the standard set by, 17th century European composition. But that completely ignores where modern innovation actually lives, which is in texture, timbre, and rhythmic arrangement.
And we have so many examples of great composers who operated purely on intuition. Michael Jackson, for instance.
Human sequencer.
He composed entire songs by singing every single track element. The bass line, the drum pattern, the layered harmonies, pitched perfectly for studio musicians to then transcribe and play.
Or Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
She herself has stated that she has, and I quote, zero knowledge of music notation, yet she's written dozens of #1 hits. She uses her voice as a tool to convey the complexity she hears in her head.
Bypassing the need for theory altogether, the Beatles often worked the same way. They just used what sounded good without needing to formally label what they were doing.
So if the ear is all you need, why even bother with the language of theory?
Well, that's a fair challenge. If the greatest composers can operate on pure intuition, is theory just some academic exercise?
Right, does it get in the way?
And doesn't the inability to notate make the music harder to teach or to analyze or to evolve without that original genius being present?
And that's where theory shifts from being a creative requirement to a practical tool. Music theory is, at its heart, a language. It's a toolbox.
So it's about communication.
It's what helps musicians broaden what they hear, finish songs faster, solve compositional problems more efficiently, and critically communicate complex ideas to other artists.
Yeah.
And to future generations.
It's not a prerequisite for genius.
Not at all. But it is a massive accelerator and a means of preservation.
But speaking of communication and preservation, we have to address the critique that modern production standards themselves, relying so heavily on tools like Pro Tools and Melodyne, can strip the music of its soul.
Yeah, the pursuit of the perfect sound. Through digital correction, pitch alignment, quantization, it often results in a loss of those subtle human elements.
Spontaneous variations, the slight rhythmic push and pull, the swing.
All of it. This manufactured perfection can lead to a perceived loss of soul, where the music sounds technically flawless, but also completely sterile.
It's the tension between the perfect machine we use to capture the sound and the imperfect human genius who actually wrote the music.
And if music is an imitation of human action and emotion, as Aristotle said, then perhaps that slight imperfection is exactly what makes it real.
We have traveled a long, long way in this deep dive. From Aristotle insisting that music should only employ ethical modes for character development,
Through the mechanical genius of axac rhythms that feel like they're limbic.
all the way to the rhythmic layering of funk and the pure, intuitive composition of pop icons.
We established that music can imitate emotion and connect directly to the highest form of human contemplation, that idea of skole. So consider this provocative final thought. When you listen to a composition, whether it is an intricate Haydn string quartet, which became too musically demanding for casual amateurs, or whether it's a raw, syncopated funk track like Parliament's Give Up the Funk, what is the nature of the wonder, that thaumazy, that compels you to seek out its causes and its essence? How does the music you choose compel your highest form of leisure?
That is the final deep dive you have to take yourself.